I talked about this with you when we first chatted. Let's just a refresher. How long have you worked as an emergency department nurse?
I have worked as an emergency department nurse since 1998. And I've worked for Peace Health for another 9 years beyond that.
And what were you doing before for those first 9 years?
I was a registration clerk
Fabulous.
and going to nursing school.
Very good. Talk to me about this change. Obviously, you used to work at the emergency department at the university district. When did you officially make the switch over to Riverbend?
I made the switch December 1st was when University District closed. I worked there the last day. I was there when they locked the doors, and I was there when the last patient left the department. I started at Riverbend 2 days later on the 3rd, and yeah, I needed to do some orientation, of course, because didn't know the flow, didn't know how the department worked, other than I know how to take care of emergency patients, but I just didn't know where the things are, so needed some orientation. And currently I'm on vacation, going back on January 4th.
Before we talk much about the start at Riverbend and what it's like to go to the new place, let's take me back to the last few days, those last hours even at the University District Emergency Department. What was that like, watching those doors lock, watching that last patient leave, knowing all these years that you've worked there, all these people you've served there? It's now part of a history there rather than your story now.
Yeah, it was hard. Um, I can't tell you how many times I had it over the last 25 whatever years. I've asked security to lock the doors because there are too many people coming in right now. And then I was there when they actually locked the doors, and I didn't want it to happen. The numbers of people dwindled through the week, and that was partly planned. It was engineered that police and ambulances quit bringing people to the emergency department and started taking them to Riverbend, because we were trying to wind down and not have people left there that needed admission, needed placement, things like that. Because sometimes people can stay in the emergency department for longer than the average stay because they have a what we consider to be a difficult disposition. They can't just say, "Okay, bye, I'm going home now." It's not that easy for everyone.
In those closing days, weeks, months at the university district, what were conversations like with coworkers, with people that may be coming with you to Riverbend, maybe seeking out other options? What were the final days like?
Um, there was a lot of reminiscing, um, lots of kind of savoring the last few days. We knew we had something special. So we had a very good community, and and a lot of those people have gone to the Riverbend ED, and we continue to see each other, and we still continue to be work family. But of course, it's not the same. We don't see each other in the same environment. It's not as physically close, just because the layout of Riverbend's emergency department is so it has been referred to as a bowling alley. Uh, and so that does not foster a lot of interaction between staff, except for the ones who are working in each hallway together.
Now, you mentioned it a little bit when you talked about your transition over, the orientation you had to go through. Even with decades as an emergency department nurse,
Mhm.
that switch is probably a daunting task for those of us who aren't behind those walls, that are only in the emergency department in our lowest moments. What give us a shine some light into how difficult that transition may be. I think from press releases from Peace Health and some of the discussion around this change, it was like, okay, you take the nurses from the emergency department here, you plop them over here, keep on moving, no big problem. For those of us who don't understand how difficult a transition that would be, explain why there are some lumps in that road.
Well, it's different for different people. Some people are very attached to a place and very, I mean, it's this way for anything, not just a work environment. But some people are much more flexible. Some people need a lot more guidance in uh, how they how they adapt to a new environment. Um, we had no idea where things were kept. Just, I mean, the basic layouts of the rooms, even where are the clean sheets? You know, where do I get the where do I find a phone? Where's the bathroom? Uh, you know, all the basic things you need to do to just do your job. Once we're taking care of the patients, we know how to do that. You know, you have somebody with a broken leg, they need an x-ray, they need a splint, they need pain medication. You know, it's the same no matter where you go. But it's, where is the pain medication? How do I get an x-ray done? All of these things are were the challenge. And some people have said, some people have worked in other places, some people have never worked anywhere else except Sacred Heart. And so it's there was a variety of needs for people who were who were moving. Some people needed more orientation. Some people, you know, it's a personality thing too. Some people kind of needed a little more hand holding in showing them how things work. How do we know there's a patient that's coming to this room? How do we get that patient to the room? Do we, you know, does somebody bring them there? Do we go get them? I mean, there are very basic things like that that we just didn't know. And so
How
that
crucial
had to
are
be done.
those moments? You know, the second of looking for a sling, looking for a pain med, looking for those simple things, a bathroom break, whatever. How crucial are those moments when they kind of stack up throughout the day because you simply don't know where anything is?
Well, that's the thing, is that it adds up. Um, it adds up both in the actual time spent. It just takes longer to do something. It also adds up in a frustration level and a self confidence level, because you come from a place where, like I said, I started there in 1998. I knew where everything was. I knew what we had, what we didn't have, and how to get everything done. And then to go somewhere where I didn't even know where the band-aids were. Uh, it just, I didn't have a lot of problems with the self-confidence because I knew that I'd figure it out. Some people do. And that undermines their, to a certain extent, it undermines their confidence in themselves to even to take care of the patients. They know they can do it, but they have all of these other peripheral things that are taking away their confidence and their their confidence in their overall job performance. You know, send them in the room and they're fine, but they don't have the tools they need. It's frustrating.
We're going to get a little layered with this question, so bear with me for a second.
Okay.
You spoke to yourself with that confidence. It's going to be there. You've done this long enough that that confidence doesn't waver too much, even throughout those experiences. But join me in this theory now. You have a nurse from the university district that got moved to maybe a more novice nurse from the university district got moved to Riverbend. Put yourself in like the patient's shoes. In university district, they're moving like a well-oiled machine. They know where everything is. They can find things, they can problem solve, they can be
Right.
critical thinkers in that environment. Transplant that same nurse to Riverbend on day one outside of orientation. They're asking questions, they're getting frustrated, they're losing self-confidence. How does that impact the patient when you and same nurse, two different environments? How does that impact patient care from one place to another while this transition is underway?
Well, it slows everything down. I mean, everything that nurse is doing gets slowed down, and their frustration tolerance, their, you know, their ceiling for when they just can't deal with that is lower because there's so much frustration coming in. And I I would not say that it reflects in the attitudes toward the patient, but it could. It could, I mean, we're all human, and yes, we try to be professional and appropriate with patients, but we get frustrated as any humans do. And so it's a possibility that it could come out in an interaction with a patient, which then makes the patient feel like not as good as they could. Whether it's feeling bad about themselves or their situation, or just there were quite a few people that expressed that they felt bad for us because because of leaving our other hospital. I have been quite open when I've been caring for patients. Say, okay, I may look like I don't know what I'm doing here. I just don't know where anything is. I came from the downtown hospital, and so I'm learning my way around here, but I do know how to take care of you. And they kind of laugh or smile and I cannot think of one person who didn't say, "I'm sorry that happened." So it's it's hard for both the community and the staff there because that's a it's not just the personal loss of a comfort situation, you know, we losing where we were in our comfort zone. It's also that the community lost that, and we feel that as much. And I will say that the nurses that were at Riverbend before us also feel that as much as us, that the community lost that other type of caring area. And I mean, everybody's feeling that loss.
You only were there for a few days before, or maybe weeks before you went on vacation, but you did get to see outside. You did finish orientation, correct? You were a solo nurse.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What did you see in those few days that you were there? What is the emergency department at Riverbend like right now? Is this chaos? What? Give me a peek behind the veil, if you will.
It is, so I can't speak to how it was before. I know that it has always been busy. Ever since it opened, pretty much, it has been busy. It, from what the other nurses say that have worked there, it is much busier now than it was, and it's I think that it's not simply numbers. Yes, there are many more patients than there were a month ago, because they don't have, you know, we would see between 80 and maybe 110 patients a day at University District. And sure, some of them have gone to Mackenzie Willamette. Some of them decide, maybe I'll just try urgent care. But out of even 80, there's still a lot of them that would come to Riverbend because they believe that they need an emergency department visit. And so the lobby is full. The beds are always full. It's it is it feels chaotic to me. I don't know how much of a baseline that is from, you know, a month ago, a year ago. I don't know, but it feels like there's always not enough people to get the care done, and that people are waiting. I know that lobby waits are very long, and I mean many hours. We are providing care in the lobby as much as we can, and sometimes people are discharged from the lobby, and that in itself feels chaotic because you go to a room, you talk to a nurse and a doctor, you get some things ordered, you go to another room, you get those labs drawn, the x-ray done, whatever, and then you go back to the lobby and you wait and you come back and you get the results, and then you go back to the lobby and you go, it's yeah, it's working, I think, but the waits are very long, and um, it's it's scary for the nurses because it only takes one person for that to absolutely come crashing down, and we don't want to see that. We're there to take care of people. We don't want to see people hurt in any way. Um, but it would take very little for that to become an absolute disaster.
Yeah, you mentioned the care in the lobby sounds like it might be a little bit unorthodox of a practice. Now, that's because you're in this situation where you're trying to keep up with a change that is kind of adding to your demand. There were recently waivers given out by OHA that have approved this essentially this system that we're using right now to be extended until next year.
Right.
What are you worried about in the next year while we await what comes next? Are you worried about nurses being overwhelmed and maybe leaving? Are you worried about patient safety? What concerns you the most?
Oh, I know that nurses will leave. Every time there has been a big change, whether it's merger or reorganizing a department, whatever, after a few months, there are nurses that decide, this is not what I wanted. I am going to go somewhere else that I will be happier. Um, we fully expect people to leave. And we being the staff. I can't speak for management. I would never presume to do that. Um, but the staff absolutely expects people to leave when they'll see that how much it settles down and how much it doesn't settle down, and people will leave because it's not what they want to do. Um, what what we worry about is there is somebody being missed, and not like they don't get checked in, but some critical aspect of their illness being missed because there are so many people, or some critical change. They come in and they're okay, they need to see a doctor, but they're okay, and then something happens and it changes and that's missed, and that that is that's a scary thing for the staff. And also at University District, we had a secure area for acutely mentally ill patients who were not able to necessarily maintain themselves safely. And there there's not there are two rooms at Riverbend that are secure. However, they are not in a secure area. They're in an open hallway that is, similar to the other hallways. Um, and we we worry how badly people will be hurt. There are a couple of staff members who have been injured already, and it's that was taken very seriously. I will say that management took that very seriously and followed up on it, uh, and took some measures in prevention. We just don't have the physical environment to promote the physical safety in those situations that we did at University District. Um, we can make some adaptations. We we used to do it before we had the secure area. The secure area was just so much better. Um, it's like going from a bicycle to a car in the rain. So.
You say a couple different times now you've mentioned something that will be a challenge, and you've mentioned the way that you and your team have sort of adapted to that challenge to use what you've got to make it work.
Mhm.
How long can you continue to do that? Like, how close are we to the breaking point where you can't keep adapting? I understand nurses. I am my partner is one. I understand that critical thinkers and the challenge uh, driven people that they are. Um, but at what point is there just too many obstacles and you're fighting too hard uphill to continue to provide the care that you need? And how close are we to that point?
Um, well, to a certain extent, that's different for everyone. I can take more stress maybe than my work partner can take. Um, different people can take different types of stress differently. Something may be really difficult for one person that's not difficult for another. Um, it's hard to say how long we can keep doing that. We will keep doing it as long as we have to, until, each person has a breaking point. Each person has a point where they say, I can't do this anymore, and they will find something else. Um, Hopefully, it will get better. Um, there are plans for remodeling the lobby to make more space for people that are waiting. There are also plans to remodel a portion of the emergency department treatment area to make it safer, to make it a safer area for acutely mentally ill patients. Um, so that's not going to happen quickly. Construction never does. And commercial construction is even slower. That's just the nature of the beast. Um, I mean, I could go in there and rip out stuff right now, but that's not going to work either. I love demo. Um, but um, I mean, that's kind of what we would look at is, okay, we've got this timeline for this fix that's coming. We need to make it until then. We need to, I mean, management is saying it's 12 to 18 months until we have a much more secure area for our mentally ill patients. Um, Hopefully, it's fingers and toes crossed, and waving sage and whoever, whatever. Um, you know, um, all doing all of the preventive things, um, and training more. Getting more people on board with dealing face to face with the acute mental health situations. A lot of the Riverbend nurses haven't dealt with that nearly as much because they didn't have the facility, so the patients weren't taken there. They were taken to University District, and we got really good at the face to face to at all the things that are involved in an acute mental health situation. Uh, it's not to say that it always went the right way, because it's humans involved. We don't predict them, um, but the it will help to get more of them comfortable in those situations, because I mean, there are things that they are very comfortable that we're not comfortable with, and that's something that we've developed over the last 15 years at University District since Riverbend opened. That's where all of the agencies kept bringing the mental health patients, and so we constructed the secure area, and we developed our processes and our policies, and now we've had to bring those processes and policies over to Riverbend without the physical environment. It will mostly work. It's just going to be a lot harder, and we have to be a lot more diligent in caring for ourselves and our patients to keep everybody safe.
Now, we've talked about a lot of challenges that are coming with this change. You've been doing this for decades. From your attitude through this conversation and the last, it appears that you are about as resilient as they come. But 26 years into this, I hate to be blunt, are you frustrated? Is there a point where you're reaching I don't need to deal with this kind of change and challenges? You seem like you want to overcome every challenge that gets in your way, but at what point does someone who's done this long reach the point where they say, I don't want to deal with this?
Every day, weekly. Uh, um, when the closure was first announced, my knee-jerk reaction was, I'm not going to do this. And I looked at other things, and then I started, I didn't actually commit until we were pretty close to making the change. I said, I don't know if I want to deal with this. I can see a lot of the challenges that are coming up that are going to happen with this, and I'm not sure I want to deal with that. And I finally came around to, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's hard. I mean, there are times when it crosses my mind that I don't have to do this. Um, you know, do I want to do this? And of course, there are days where no, I don't want to do this. um, of course, there are days when that's my laundry or something too. I don't want to do that either. Um, we all pick our challenges and our environments, and this is something that I can do. Um, and so I think we follow what we feel confident that we can do. I'm not saying that I'm good at being a charge nurse at Riverbend yet, because I'm not. I can do the charge nurse part, but that it's just a lot bigger, and there are a lot more moving pieces, and so um, I will get there. I don't know when, but I will get there.
I think those are all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we want people to come to the emergency department if they feel like they're they're needing that kind of treatment. It is good to consider for people, do I need an emergency department or can I go to urgent care? And there are benefits to going to urgent care too, um, in that it's less expensive. It often is quicker. Um, and you're not waiting in a lobby with 40 other people. Some urgent cares even make appointments. So it's good for people to kind of not just think I need to go to the ER, but do I need to go to the ER? Is it of that level? And uh, people go to urgent care, and urgent care says, no, you need to go to the ER, and that's fine. That's um, so yeah, people just, but we do want to see people in the ER that need to be there. I'm not trying to discourage people from coming in.
Nor am I. So hopefully we can
Yeah.
keep that out of the in the thought process here. Thank you so much for your time,
Oh, you're
especially in
welcome.
this week of vacation for you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I haven't kept you from the littles for too long.
Nope, nope. They're still at the library at story time.
Oh, perfect. Hey, well, happy holidays to you, happy new year, and thank you for the time. I'm almost certain I'll reach out to you again here in the near future at some point. So
That's
thank you.
fine. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. You
Okay.
take care now.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.